All right, so it sounds like you're really looking to master Angular pipes.
Yeah.
You want to know how to use the built-in ones,
Uh-huh.
how to create your own custom transformations,
Right.
and just really get a good grasp of best practices for using them effectively.
Exactly.
And you know what? You've sent over some really fascinating resources.
Oh, yeah.
I'm excited to dive into this,
Me too.
especially because, Angular pipes can actually transform data
Yeah.
right there in the template
That's right.
without even touching the component code.
It's pretty amazing.
It's kind of like magic, wouldn't you
It
say?
is pretty elegant how pipes let you just manipulate what the user sees
Yeah.
without having to clutter up the actual logic of your application.
Yeah.
And you're right, the resources you've shared give us a great roadmap to explore this.
Yeah.
So maybe we should start by just laying some groundwork.
Okay.
What exactly are Angular pipes?
All right. So in the simplest terms,
Okay.
an Angular pipe is like a mini transformer
Okay.
for your data. You feed it some data,
Right.
it applies a transformation,
Yeah.
and boom, out comes the modified data
Yeah.
ready to be displayed.
Exactly.
And this is all happening without you needing to change the original data itself.
That's the beauty of it.
Pretty neat, right?
It is. That separation is key.
Right.
Think about it. If you had to handle all those transformations directly within your component,
Oh, yeah.
your code would be so
Mm.
cluttered
Yeah.
and difficult to manage.
Yeah.
So pipes help us keep things clean,
Mhm.
efficient,
Yeah.
maintainable.
Yeah.
Plus, you get that reusability.
Oh, yeah?
Define a pipe once,
Yeah.
and you can use it anywhere you need that transformation.
Oh, that reusability aspect is so appealing.
It is.
So I'm thinking we've got built-in pipes,
Mm-hmm.
which I'm guessing are ready to use right out of the box,
Exactly.
and then custom ones where we can define our own transformations.
That's right.
Now, this Angular pipes cursor Stellan seems to have a pretty good breakdown of both, including a table of some of the most useful built-in ones.
Okay.
We've got the date pipe, uppercase pipe, lowercase pipe, currency pipe.
Oh, yeah, those are great.
These all sound incredibly practical.
They are. Those built-in pipes handle a lot of the common data transformations that you'll encounter. Like you said, formatting baits, changing the case of text, displaying numbers as currencies. It's really as simple as dropping them into your template using the pipe symbol.
Hold on.
Yeah.
Can you give me a quick example?
Yeah,
I'm a bit visual, so seeing it in action always helps.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Let's say you have a date object
Okay.
that you want to display in a user-friendly format.
Okay.
Angular Pipes Cursor Stellan actually has some code snippets.
Oh, perfect.
Showing how the date pipe can convert milliseconds to a date.
Okay.
Or even take an ISO string and turn it into something readable.
Gotcha.
So instead of seeing just a bunch of numbers or a long string,
Yeah.
your user will see a nicely formatted date.
Okay, that makes sense.
Good.
What about something like formatting a price in euros?
Okay.
Is that where the currency pipe comes in?
You got it.
Okay.
You can use the currency pipe to display a number
Yeah.
as a currency string,
Oh, yeah.
complete with the euro symbol and the correct formatting.
Perfect.
And there's an example of this right in the source material.
Oh, great.
It's really straightforward.
That's incredibly handy.
It is.
I can already see how these built-in pipes would be a lifesaver for things like internationalization.
Yes.
Making sure dates, currencies, and numbers are displayed correctly for users in different regions.
Exactly. Pipes can actually use locale information to format the data
Cool.
according to the user's location.
Uh-huh.
So a user in Germany would see dates and currencies formatted according to German conventions,
Gotcha.
while a user in the U.S. would see them formatted according to U.S. conventions.
Right. Wow.
It's all about creating that seamless and localized experience.
Seamless and localized.
Yes.
Okay, so built-in pipes are clearly super useful
Yes.
for a lot of common scenarios.
A lot of them.
But what about when we need something more tailored?
Okay.
Something specific to our application?
Uh-huh.
That's where custom pipes come into play, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
And creating them is actually easier than you might think.
Okay.
Essentially, you define a class
Okay.
that implements the pipe transform interface,
Okay.
which forces you to create a transform method.
Right.
And that's where the actual data manipulation happens.
Okay.
Then you decorate that class with @pipe
Okay.
to give it a name
Gotcha.
and make it usable in your template.
So it's like we're building our own little data transformation factories.
That's a great way to think about it.
We define the blueprint in the class and then use the @pipe decorator to give it a label and make it accessible.
That's a good way to think about it.
Okay.
And the Angular Pipes Curs or Stellan source actually has a really good example, the kebab case pipe. It takes a string and converts it to kebab case,
Yeah.
where everything is lowercase
Yeah.
and spaces are replaced by hyphens.
Okay. That example is starting to make the process click for me.
Good.
But I have a question.
Okay.
What if we need even more flexibility?
Okay.
What if we want our custom pipe to behave differently,
Right.
depending on, say, a user's preference or something like that?
That's where passing parameters to your pipes comes in.
Really?
Yeah. You can define parameters for your transform method, just like you would for any other function.
Okay.
That way you can control the pipe's behavior from within your template.
Wait, so we can actually send information into the pipe?
Yes.
Along with the data we want it to transform?
Exactly.
This is getting really interesting.
It is. It is. And Angular pipes Cursor Stellan has an example of this too.
Perfect.
They have a My Custom transformation pipe that converts a string to uppercase, but only if you pass in uppercase as a parameter.
Wow. I'm already starting to see so many possibilities here.
Yeah.
It's like having a whole toolkit at our fingertips.
You do, you do.
So we've covered built-in pipes, creating custom ones, and even how to make them more flexible with parameters.
Right.
Where should we head next in our Angular pipe deep dive?
Well, we've talked about how pipes help keep our templates clean. Right. And our components manageable. Yeah. But there's another layer to this, change detection. It's important to understand how Angular decides when to re-execute a pipe. Okay. Especially when you're dealing with objects or arrays.
Yes. I remember reading something about that in these resources.
Okay.
Something about how pipes don't automatically detect changes within objects or arrays.
Exactly.
It's only when the entire object or array reference changes that the pipe kicks in again.
That's right. Pipes are efficient.
Right.
So they're designed to only run when absolutely necessary. Yeah. So if you change a property inside an object, the pipe won't necessarily know to update the display unless you're using a specific technique to handle that.
Okay, so for primitive types like strings or numbers, change detection is pretty straightforward.
Yes.
But for objects and arrays, it's a bit more nuanced.
It is.
So how do we make sure our pipes update correctly when dealing with those more complex data structures?
There are a few strategies. You can use libraries like immutable.js, which create a new object every time a change is made. Right. That way, Angular sees a new reference and triggers the pipe to rerun.
Interesting. So it's like tricking Angular into thinking it's a brand new object.
In a way, yeah. Another approach is to use Angular's change detector ref to manually trigger change detection. But that can get a bit complex and might be overkill for simpler scenarios. Right. The key is to be aware of how change detection works with pipes, especially when dealing with objects and arrays.
It's like a little dance between efficiency and making sure our data is always displayed correctly.
Exactly.
Speaking of efficiency, I think it's time we dive into some best practices for building really rock-solid and maintainable pipes.
Good idea.
These resources highlight some really interesting points here.
Yeah, they do.
So first and foremost, clarity is king.
Yes.
Your pipe should be focused.
Right.
One pipe, one transformation.
Exactly.
Keep them concise.
Yeah.
Avoid cramming too much logic into a single pipe.
Makes them much easier to test and understand and reuse.
Makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
Kind of like the single responsibility principle.
It is.
But for pipes.
Exactly.
And I bet naming is important here too, right?
You bet.
Okay.
Choose descriptive names that clearly indicate what the pipe does.
Right.
Format date is way better than pipe 1.
Right, right.
Future you.
Yeah.
And anyone else working on your code will thank you.
It's exactly.
And don't forget documentation.
Oh, yeah, of course.
JS.comments can make your pipe so much more understandable.
Okay, so clarity, naming, documentation. Got it.
Yes.
These are all great habits to cultivate.
They are.
What about performance?
Okay.
Are there any tips to make sure our pipes are running as efficiently as possible?
Definitely.
Okay, awesome.
Angular gives us this powerful tool called pure pipes.
Oh, yeah, pure pipes. I've heard of those.
So a pure pipe only re-executes when its input value changes.
Okay.
So if the input remains the same, it just returns the cached result.
Gotcha.
Huge performance win.
Yeah.
And most pipes that you'll build can and should be pure.
Pure pipes sound like a no-brainer for most situations.
They are.
Are there times when we'd want to use an impure pipe?
Good question.
Yeah.
Impure pipes are needed when your transformation depends on something outside the input value, like a date or a random number generator. These situations are less common, but it's good to know they exist.
Got it. Pure pipes for most cases, impure pipes for those special situations.
Exactly.
I'm also intrigued by this idea of memoization.
Okay.
That popped up in the resources.
Yeah.
It sounds like a performance superpower.
It can be.
Okay.
Memoization essentially means caching the results of expensive calculations, so you don't have to redo them every time. If your pipe involves complex computations, memoization can drastically improve performance, but be mindful of memory usage. It's a trade-off.
So memoization, use it wisely.
Exactly.
What about common mistakes developers make with pipes? Any pitfalls to watch out for?
Oh, there are a few traps.
Okay.
Even experienced developers can fall into, like trying to cram complex calculations directly inside a pipe. If you have heavy logic, it's better to create a dedicated service and let your pipe call that service.
Delegate that heavy lifting.
Yes.
I can also see how it would be tempting to make an HTTP request directly within a pipe.
Yeah.
But that probably goes against the pipe should be pure rule, right?
Exactly. Asynchronous operations like HTTP requests don't belong in pipes.
Okay.
Handle them in your component and pass the results to the pipe for display.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
And what about chaining too many pipes together?
Oh, yeah.
I could see that getting out of hand pretty quickly.
You're right. That can become a readability and performance nightmare.
Yeah.
Each pipe adds overhead.
Right.
So be mindful of how many you're stringing together.
Gotcha.
If it starts to look like a Christmas tree ornament,
yeah,
it might be time to refactor.
It's all about balance and making sure our pipes stay lean and focused.
Absolutely.
It sounds like we've covered a ton of ground here.
We have.
But before we wrap up,
okay,
I'd love to get your take on what makes a truly professional approach to working with pipes.
That's a great question.
Yeah.
I think it goes beyond just knowing the syntax.
Right.
It's about applying the principles we've discussed.
Yeah.
Clarity, efficiency, maintainability, and embracing those resources that help us become better developers.
Okay, so which resources are you talking about?
Okay.
Fill us in.
Well, the Angular documentation is a given. It's a great resource. It's constantly updated, and it's packed with examples and explanations.
The official documentation is definitely my go-to for anything Angular. But are there any other resources you find particularly helpful for leveling up your pipe game?
John Papa's Angular Style Guide is fantastic, especially when you're working on larger projects or as part of a team. It helps you keep your code consistent and readable.
Consistency and readability are so crucial, especially as a project grows. Are there any tools that can help us enforce those good coding practices automatically?
Absolutely. Linting tools like TSLint or ESLint can catch errors and style violations early on. It's like having a code quality guardian looking over your shoulder.
Love that analogy, a code quality guardian.
Yeah.
It's so easy to overlook small details, especially when you're, deep in the coding trenches. Having those tools to catch those potential issues before they become real problems is a real lifesaver.
It is. It's like having a safety net for your code.
Yeah.
But beyond the technical resources, I think the most valuable asset is a mindset of continuous learning. The world of Angular is constantly evolving, so stay curious, keep experimenting, and never stop exploring new ways to leverage pipes to create cleaner, more efficient, and more maintainable code.
I totally agree. It's all about embracing that growth mindset. Now, before we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave our listener with a challenge. Something to really solidify their understanding of custom pipes and how they can be used to solve real-world problems. Imagine you're building an application that displays a list of products. You want to give your users the power to filter this list based on multiple criteria.
Like what?
Like the product name, category, price range, and maybe even ratings.
That's a great challenge. It's a common scenario in e-commerce applications. And a custom pipe could be a very elegant solution.
Exactly. And here's an extra layer. Could they combine filtering with other transformations within a single pipe,
Oh.
maybe filtering the list and then sorting the results or formatting them in a particular way. It really pushes the boundaries of what's possible with custom pipes.
It does. It's a fantastic way to put all these concepts we've discussed into practice.
Yeah.
It's about understanding that pipes are incredibly versatile tools, not just static transformations. They can be dynamic, adaptable, and chained together to create sophisticated solutions.
So to our listener, we say embrace this challenge.
Yes.
Don't be afraid to experiment, explore different approaches, and really see what you can create with angular pipes.
Yeah, absolutely. Remember, there's no single right answer. The beauty of programming is finding creative solutions, and the resources we've discussed are there to support you every step of the way.
This has been a fantastic deep dive into the world of angular pipes. We've gone from the basics to advanced techniques, exploring best practices, pitfalls to avoid, and even a bit of philosophy along the way. Hopefully you feel empowered to wield the magic of pipes and create truly amazing applications.
It's been a pleasure exploring this topic with you and our listener. Keep learning, keep building, and most importantly, happy coding.
Happy coding.